Hi guys, welcome back to another mini PC review. So I've got with me the last Gemini Lake mini PC that I will be reviewing. So I've finished with the Gemini Lake laptops and the tablets, so no more of those. And this will be the last Gemini Lake because, let's face it, I'm sick of them, you're sick of seeing them. But this one at least does have 8 GB of DDR4 RAM that is configured in dual channel. Now you can add an SSD in this. It does have a 2.5-inch bay, which is another positive. HDMI 2 spec. It has 2 USB 3 ports, 2 USB 2 ports, micro SD card reader, and also VGA if you did want that. I think most people would be happy not to have it there, and perhaps it's a little bit cheaper, or give us a second HDMI 2 port on there if they could have done that, of course. So in the box you'll find a VESA adapter here. So this is just a 2-screw one here for the top brackets. You can put it behind a TV or a monitor. Our power supply is 12 volts, 2 amps. Now the bottom has these 4 solid rubber feet here. Now if you remove the 3 screws either side here, so 6 in total, there is actually a tamper seal over one of them, which is really silly. So you pull this up and there you can see we can install a 2.5-inch SSD or hard drive. So I went even further. I don't recommend doing this. If you're going to remove the plastic inner plate too and start removing all those other screws, then you can actually remove the whole motherboard. So you can see it does have a battery right here for the BIOS. So again, if you needed to reset it, I don't see why though, you can actually unplug that too as well. So here is our Intel Wireless, the 3165. So that does have dual antenna setup, but it's just a 1x1 diversity antenna with Bluetooth 4.2. So non-upgradable here. The only components you can upgrade, as you'll see, is this right here. So our SSD, that's the only thing that we can swap out. So if you're not happy with the 180 gigabytes they've given us, of which you get about 160 or so free. First up, our BIOS. So it is completely unlocked here. Chuwi have done a good thing, and they normally do this with their tech, actually, including their laptops. So under the advanced settings, every single option is available to us. Now under CPU configuration, one of the interesting ones here is our power management, okay? So this is where you will find the power limits. Now what they have set, Chuwi, is quite a high power limit here, so they're very confident with that bit of aluminium they have for their heatsink to use 12 watts here. Normally this would be set on auto by most manufacturers, and that then goes with Intel's recommended 6 watts, which is a bit lower here. So nothing else really of interest. I wouldn't mess with any of these settings here. You could end up bricking the BIOS, but you can remove the battery or reset it if you did do that. So I've got all my files set up right now, and I'm not actually using the original SSD. I forgot to take a screenshot, a screen grab at least, or record the speeds you get on it. So that Intel SSD we have, the 180 gigabyte one, will get speeds, sequential writes actually higher than this one. So this drive I've got in here is 500 gigabytes, but it's just to show you that SATA 3 speeds, they're as expected, and there is no issue with that. They are performing as they should. Now, a Windows version that we have with us, if I just quickly go into System, it's Windows 10 Home, of course, that they are using, and no problems. You will need to run some updates to get software updates. Use Intel's driver update utility as well to gain the latest graphics and wireless drivers. So I wanted to show you and demonstrate, as I do in my other videos, the performance you can expect. So a very high encoded 140 megabits per second 4K 10-bit HEVC file is decoded natively, okay? And you'll see at the beginning that there are a few stutters, but look at that. That performance, at least here with Kodi, is excellent. That is now 30 frames per second and looking very, very smooth there. And that's what we want. So great performance there from that. Now our RAM, just to show you, is running in dual channel. So this is good as well. You'll see here performance. I've used up about half of it at the moment. So with the 8 gigabytes, that gives us a little bit of room there to play around with some multitasking, which I'm currently doing. I mean, I've got Steam open, I've got Chrome at the moment. So performance-wise, when you take a look at, well, the wireless, here I am using 5G, okay, on the 5G band, and I'm a good couple of rooms away from the router here, and this is to be expected. Not brilliant speeds for wireless AC with this particular card. Now, if I'm closer to the router, then I can expect around 300 maximum it sort of tops out at, which is not brilliant. So use the gigabit LAN, and if you need faster, of course, for that. Now, Geekbench 5 here, this score very low because this is low-end hardware, and you expect this. So that's not amazing. This is not a mini PC for editing 4K video files or playing AAA gaming titles. Of course not, but some people don't actually realize that. They think for $200 US you're going to get something that's got amazing performance. Geekbench 4 score here, like others, perhaps a little bit lower here for some reason, maybe on the single core score, but multi-core score is good. And when you go to the start menu, there's no lag here. Now, often I see this terrible lag with these, especially when they're in single channel configuration. And just notice everything seems pretty snappy here with Windows. So I'm going to quickly search here with Google, and I'll bring up, if I can type correctly here, google.com, and I'll just do a quick tab test here before I get onto the thermals. So I'm going to search cats that I often search and haven't searched it yet on this particular machine. And let's just bring this up. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Sorry, hold down Control, not Shift. Get it right. And you'll see that these load in pretty quick, and the performance of swapping between these tabs, all quite good actually for what it is, this hardware. This actually surprises a lot of people. They think, oh, that's actually faster than my Core i5 that I've got that's 4 years old or something. And you'll see that, look at that, loading in relatively quick. Scrolling performance is still good there. And some of these pages look to be still loading because they want me to click over. And you'll find that it's not refreshing when you go back to these tabs later on. It won't have to refresh. So let's get on to, oh, that cat looks like my Vera almost. Funny that. Onto the thermals. Okay, so not great. All right, it did get a little too hot, but it's understandable. They're pushing 12 watts for the power limit, which is actually double than what most people will use, most manufacturers. Tech Class sometimes uses 9 watts in some of their tech, if I remember correctly there. So 99 degrees. Didn't trigger any thermal throttling here, but I was pushing it very hard over this 1 hour. So this is worst case scenario. If you're not pushing it really hard, you won't see these kind of temperatures. So yes, thermal's not amazing. I mean, it's doing an okay job, the heatsink, considering it's 12 watts. But if you want to push a higher power limit, you're going to have to do some mods there, I think. Now for light computing, so right here, just in a spreadsheet that you're able to edit this just fine. And I've got a few pages with this one, and you're able to do all those edits without seeing any noticeable lag, which is good. And if I move over to a document as well, this one has 82 pages. You sometimes see just a little bit of a slowdown then when I went between them, but overall, again, very usable. So for light computing, that is really all you want to be doing with this particular hardware. This is not for anything really heavier than web browsing, video, documents, and some very old gaming. So because we have that dual channel RAM and we have the 12 watts, I've noticed that the performance here with Counter-Strike when gaming, even though it's just an old title, frame rate is not too bad. So you're seeing it will dip down with things like Smoke and Flames, of course, to about 40 frames per second, but overall, pretty playable and a lot better than I typically see with this hardware. Now, I'm probably going to just die here, but the point is just to show you that, well, 4 health left, that it is at least playable with these older titles, but that's all you can really expect with the Sauron N4100. This will not play the latest AAA titles. So I did install Linux Mint on this, and it runs perfectly fine because we don't have, of course, a touch screen like all the other tech I've been reviewing with the Gemini Lakes. You sometimes run into problems. In fact, all of them didn't have touchscreen drivers, and that's not going to be an issue with a mini PC. So the wireless was working, the Realtek gigabit LAN, no problems there with that, so that is great. So the performance, because of that 12 watt power limit that Chuwi set, means that this performs a lot better than others. It's got the dual channel RAM as well. However, it comes with a rather bad trade-off, you could say, because it's getting up to 99 degrees. Now, originally, when I was first testing it out, it kind of fooled me and thought, hey, these thermals are actually good. But then I started to game and stress both the GPU and the CPU. That's when you notice that it will hit the 99 degrees C. So over long periods of doing that, if you're going to be always pushing this hardware at 100%, it might not be good for long-term reliability because that motherboard is going to be all the time very, very hot. It's after all passively cooled. Now I've noticed that Chuwi used a thermal pad in there. We could remove that thermal pad, add a copper shim and some slimmer thermal pads or paste and probably improve upon those thermals that I've done before. The issue is the plastic in here is holding that heat within it. So if it was an all metal build, it would probably run a little bit cooler. And if they put a fan on it, okay, it would be even cooler then. But I hate fan noise, and you don't normally need actually a fan for the Sauron N4100s at least. So overall, HDMI 2, great to have. 2.5-inch drive, great to have. Good performance. And where is it not so great? Well, thermals, really. That's about it. Thermals, it could have a microphone on it, and it could have had, instead of the VGA port, another HDMI 2, which would be great. But maybe there's some rare case out there that someone's actually going to run a CRT monitor and they want the VGA to run old emulators or something, then, well, hey, you've got it with this model. So thank you so much for watching this review. There will be more mini PCs in the channel in the future, but no more Gemini Lakes. This is the last Gemini Lake that I will be checking out, and really, it's about time.